Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the day class on combat connections with Lucario, Masa, and Lo. Today we're going to be trying out a new format where we're going to spend the first 10 minutes talking about a specific subject, and then afterwards we're going to go off on our usual style of ranting and random bullshit. So for this week, to try out this new format, we're going to go for something nice and simple and talk about the training we've been doing recently. You guys may have seen I've been posting my training a lot on the Instagram recently, which if you don't follow us, go to Combat Connection _ co on Instagram. We post interesting stuff sometimes. Sometimes it's a little bit boring, but we talk about anime and we post our training and clips and a bunch of like random historical stuff. So anyway, I've been working. I built a Mukyunjong, which is known as the Wing Chun wooden dummy, and I mounted it to my fence post. It's made of PVC piping and chair legs, so real DIY, as Lo would call it, redneck engineering. Even though I'm nowhere near an American.
I
Anyway,
did the same but better.
you did the same, but yes, better. Sadly, why you gotta hurt me in this way? I've been training I've been training a lot with that recently. I've been started off just trying to work some basic Wing Chun stuff. I haven't done Wing Chun in a few years, so it was great to actually be able to properly practice again, or at least somewhat close to properly practice. But I've been trying to work other martial arts on it and see how it's useful for training other styles. I started off doing Shrinji Kempo, which somewhat relatively easy. I just need to adapt our moves to a closer range of combat. I can still use the same blocks and stuff, and the body movement really helps with getting onto the different sides of the dummy and getting into different striking positions. And then I figured to try and do boxing on there, which a lot of people would ask how, what use does it have for boxing? And basically, it's just really good for working angles around guards and stuff because you have the body, you have blockages on the body, you have blockages up to the head, and then you have striking targets. So you just get to work using your body movement to strike around the different guards and angles and get different hits in. So I found it actually pretty useful, just not just to revisit roots, but also to train different things and get good basics in. I've also been messing around with it a little bit. I've posted a couple of weapons videos on there. I have no idea what I'm doing with any of that. It's just for fun, because if you don't have fun with your training, then you're not going to train. And I think that's what a lot of people forget when they're really focused on something like trying to get to a competitive level or something like that, is like the reason to do this. Like they're just pushing themselves so hard that they'll eventually get burnt out because they're forgetting why they're doing it to begin with. And then other than that, I've just been doing basics, kata, kihon, trying to work just the heavy bag and do like timed endurance sessions or hard conditioning sessions on there. Really working on my kicks. Our friend Griff from the first episode of the day class has really helped me work on my round kick, and I'm definitely getting more power in there. And yeah, hopefully I'll be ready to fight when the time comes. Masa, how about you just take a turn, and now it's your turn to bitch about the Gracies.
I don't bitch about the Gracies, but I will talk about the training that I've been doing. So this weekend I did a bunch of running, a bag work, footwork, pad work, all that sort of stuff. Really working on my switch kick. So basically, just getting a lot of cardio in, repetition, that sort of thing. Just the usual for the most part. I usually don't run, but everything else is relatively the same.
How's that
My
Switch kit
training.
coming along? That's something that people like really underestimate or take for granted, but it takes a lot.
It actually improved quite a bit this weekend. Working with Coach Leela down at the other gym gave me some tricks on how to step out. Just a little more stepping sideways, I guess, to get more of that hip rotation. But yeah, it's sounding a lot better when I hit things.
Which we know from watching the Paper Tigers that the sound is what's really important when it comes to kicks.
I mean, you can, to a degree, yeah, you can hear if something's weak or something strong.
You just gotta watch out for that fat bass drop when you hit the bag.
What?
That's what he was saying like last in the film. It's like that's not right. It's too fat. It's meant to be sharp.
Oh,
You gotta watch out for
right.
that fat bass drop though.
Oh, yeah, no. No, this was nice and sharp.
What about you, Lo? What you been doing recently?
Uh, Really, my training over the past week's been somewhat limited. I've been focusing on one aspect in all of my game, striking and grappling. I've been focusing on the transference of weight within different stances. So learning when to plant, learning when to get on the balls of my feet versus the heels, and then just working footwork in all of it.
You've been pretty focused recently on more coaching than improving as well, haven't you? Considering you went to a competition recently.
Yeah, I went to a competition yesterday to watch some of my guys compete in just a little local sport tournament. Had some young kids that were point fighting, which, I'm not really a point fighter, but if it floats your boat, go for it. My kids did fairly well. We had several gold medalists and several silvers. I think all in all, only one of our students got below a silver, and that was a bronze. Which that's fine. I'm proud of them. They did good. For kata, I believe all of my students who competed in kata placed. It's good to help them out. I was given the opportunity to, I guess, wasn't really given the opportunity. I had to pay for it. I had to buy the, I guess, coach's spot, which just gives me permission to coach some of my students in their matches. It worked out in the end.
Yeah, I heard you trying to teach some of your students. You're going into a lot of detail. There's a lot that goes into kata performance competition, like down to the point where you were having to specify on like the small, minute changes of what angle the knife hand strikes were coming at.
When so training kata for competition versus training for application, it's almost two sides of a coin. It's different in essence. So when you're training for application, you're mainly wanting to do the movements in a way that would, actually work. Whereas a lot of people, when they're training for competition, they'll actually substitute their application for showiness, I guess would be the term. By that, I mean one very famous karateka, I believe is from Spain. I'm not going to say names, but if you start looking into it, you can figure out exactly who I'm talking about. He is fairly well known, and the main issues I have with him is any of his chambers, instead of doing a full chamber, he'll do three-fourths of a chamber. So it looks sloppy if you slow down the video, but whenever you're watching it in person or trying to judge it, it looks a lot quicker. His feet, instead of getting planted in certain positions, rotating to the ball of the foot, moving to the heel, whatever you need to have a smooth transition, a lot of the times he doesn't even plant his foot fully. So he doesn't have any usage behind the katas he does. He just tries to make them look pretty. Whereas with our students, we really focus on them knowing what they're doing within the kata. So anytime they're doing it in a tournament, they're doing it with application in their mind. So whenever you start merging the two, it kind of changes things over a bit. When you merge them, they have to have application while still remaining aesthetically it's yeah, aesthetically pleasing in a sense.
Okay, I think that's about the end of the time we've allocated for our set, like controlled talk. Even though we've probably gone over it a little bit, just like probably a little. If you guys are watching the short video, please go over right now and watch the podcast. If you guys are watching the podcast, then keep watching because we're nowhere near done. We're just getting started, people. Okay, so now that we're allowed to go off on tangents, anyone want to say something random?
Screw the Gracies.
Yeah, knew that one was coming.
Yeah, we can cut that out.
I'm not cutting
Um,
that out. I'm leaving that.
something.
You're gonna get the hate, Lo. I'm sorry, bro.
All right, go for it. Something random. All right, here's something. When you guys were training, we're still on the little topic of application and competition. When you guys are training a form, be it in your Shrinji Kempo or the Kempo that you did Masa, what were the steps that you guys took towards improvement? Once you learned the basis of the form, what did you do next?
Got better at it. I mean, I've been doing the same kata for nearly 2 years now. Same two katas. And I suppose in Shrinji Kempo things are a little bit different. Everything is direct application. It's either a block or a punch. I mean, in Ryuken, we have a wrist escape, but even then, it's a direct application. It's literally just the single form of doing the technique. So what we need to focus on is we have two ways of doing it. In grading, they tell us that it should be wide and big movements just so that it's visible. But if we're doing it to actually just do it, we should keep everything tight, like we're actually throwing a combo. Like the opening for Tenchiken Daiichi, which is our first kata in Shunji Genpo, is Jodenzuki, Chudenzuki, and a hook punch, which I forget the Japanese name of.
Kagisuki.
Okay, sure, that one. So literally, they tell us you're basically throwing a boxer 1-2-3 combo. So throw it like you're boxing, unless you're grading. In which case, do it wide, keep everything open, make sure it's visible and looks good.
See, that's where we fairly differ whenever we have our students doing katas in grading.
Oh,
See, when we're grading, we actually, one of the things we grade on is we don't want them to be wide. It can be visible whenever it's thrown tight, but we don't want our students going wide because if they can go wide just to show it to other people, they can go wide in a bad situation. We try to refine to the point where they're not going to go wide because they know, hey, I go wide, I get hit.
I suppose that's one of the things though is that again, Kozars is directly applicable into our drills, and all we're doing is the blocks and strikes that we'll be doing within our drills. Then that's why we keep it tighter within our and more realistic when we're drilling. And then the kata is just to show that we know that movement, as it were. Our kata also, they're reversible is a really weird thing. So when we're doing our kata, most specifically the Tenchiken kata, it goes in half. So our first half is an attacking half of 1-2-3 head shot, body shot, hook, and our second half is defend the head, defend the body, and then kick and counter. And then you can do that in a pair form. And I think that's something that goes for. I don't think every cutter in Stringy Hempo, but I know most things have a counter that we train, and I think a lot of cutters have that going in it.
That's interesting. And what about you, Masa?
So once we had the basic technique down, I mean, so our kata has bunkai, but we tend to treat it more as like an art than something practical. So we would have like low, wide stances. We'd make sure we kept our head stable. Things were sharp and crisp. And then, it kind of depended on what sensei you were working with, but a lot of times we would just kind of break down either specific sections and work on just the blocks or strikes or just the footwork. And then sometimes we would be given like a defined space because we know how we're supposed to move in the kata. And then we'd be blindfolded and we'd have to stay in that area while we were doing the kata. So, yeah, we usually like once we learned it, we would just kind of break it down into either specific pieces or just the footwork or just like the hand strikes and blocks. And then occasionally we would do the blindfolded thing.
Weren't you saying when we were talking to? I think it was when we were interviewing Gyro Orc, which if anyone's not seen that interview, go watch that. Um, that when you were doing kata in Shaolin Kempo, that it was a lot of down to interpretation, and yours specifically were you performed your katas in a lot more of an aggressive manner than they were usually meant to be performed.
Oh, yeah. So the different forms would have kind of different, I don't know, theories isn't the right word, but I guess kind of like a different cadence to it. Like some were meant to be more flowy and graceful, and others were meant to be more rigid. And just based on different personalities, it would show in those forms. So there, we essentially would learn the form, right? And then we would learn how to all do it at together in a very culty manner. So like everyone in the class would be punching and striking at the exact same time, um, in rhythm. But then as we got higher up, we could put our own kind of flair on the form, and that's when our personality would kind of come out. Um, One form in particular that I was referencing was Statue of the Crane, which is known to be like flowy, graceful, balanced, but I don't really have that in me. I'm more of a aggressive. Yeah, I'm just aggressive with my fighting, with my art, with everything. So instead of it coming out as like this balanced, graceful thing, um, I'd come at it super aggressively. And one of the senseis I was working with said I was like a striker or something like that. Apparently, it's like some bird that stabs its prey to kill it. And it's like, but I had no idea. So he's like, eagle. It's like an eagle. You're not a crane.
So you were practicing bald eagle claw then?
Well, it was stature of the
No,
eagle.
just no.
Uh,
That actually brings up
well,
another discussion point.
oh god.
No. It's something. Bear with me, Masa.
Okay.
You spoke of having low, deep stances within kata, right?
Yes, that would be for. We do the form, I guess, more for art. Like the idea was that the low stances was more traditional. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
traditional in the traditional sense or just traditional in our dojo kind of sense, but yeah.
Right. What do you guys feel? How do you guys feel that? How do you guys feel deep stances can transition to help us with an actual application? What use
So
do deep stances have in essence?
this is actually something I questioned myself for quite a while until very recently I got the opportunity to train Kempo with a sensei from another dojo, and he made more use of low deep stances, which people have commented before that Shurenji Kempo says it comes from Shaolin Kung Fu, but whereas the low deep stances that you're used to from Shaolin Kung Fu. Um, there was a low stance, and it was used for level changing. In that, when we were striking the body, leaning one way and stretching out leg to get the shot in low and take our head off an attack line, and using like the knees and body movement in that rotation to change levels while striking and get different targets. Other than that, I think it's just really good for stretching and things like that. But it's not the only time we used it. I've been looking into one of our other techniques. I think it's a yellow to orange technique, which fifth Q technique, where we do the deep lunge forwards somewhat in a diagonal forwards motion, and then pull ourselves forwards to sort of move away from a technique or move in like under a strike into an attacking range.
Uh-huh.
We were told that it was to strengthen the legs, and the idea being like if you can do it with that low deep stance, it's probably going to be easier when you're not in that low deep stance.
So like in Kinkojuku, we have the mindset of deep stances are for those who are just starting out because deep stances, one, they can help with your flexibility. Two, they can build strength in your legs. And three, they're just kind of painful and lots of the higher ranks like laughing at it. So they are useful. Before my knee surgery, for those of you who don't know, I had a full tear of the ACL and then a minor tear of the meniscus. Had to have reconstruction surgery, and it's working somewhat now. But before I had the incident that caused this, I had trained Kinkojuku for hmm, 6 years, maybe 6 or 7. Anyways, trained Kinkojuku for that period, and starting out, I used a lot of deep stances. Even with my own workouts now, I will incorporate deep stances because it's a good workout for the leg. My point behind all this, they had to take out my hamstring to create a graft to kind of replace what was torn. And when they pulled the hamstring out, the doctor made mention to me the next visit after the surgery that I had the biggest hamstring to date within that hospital. He started asking me what sport I did and all this other stuff, and I explained to him, and it kind of surprised him because he's used to seeing lots of big linebackers that have the biggest hamstrings, and I beat out a 6'9" linebacker that showed up with the same injury. So they can kind of save you in the future. If you train with deeper stances, that big muscle growth can help you. Another application I found with it is deep stances when you're striking. A lot of times you kind of limit yourself. Well, just as soon as you pick up grappling, you find a lot of times these deeper stances can be found within different takedowns. I had a lot of issues with Tayatoshi for a while there. Then I started thinking, Tayatoshi is taught within all the Taikyoku katas and most of the Heian katas. You just learn to get in that deep Zenkutsu datsu, so your deep front stance, and it creates the pivot point to get the throw. So they have their place. I just figured it's something good to bring up.
Actually, another thing I saw, and then this is honestly still kind of related to my answer, when I was looking into the history of Shunji Kempo when I first started, I found Shorinji Ryu, which is Okinawan karate. And when I watched their kumite, they came from deep stances. They used it as like sort of shooting into attacks, as it were. Like it was almost like a lunging point where they would deep forwards and then they could spring into something.
So one of the reasons why we did low stances was because the idea was that we were in complete control of our body, including the level of our head. So one of the ideas was we kept our stance low because our head was supposed to be level basically the entire time, unless we were purposefully changing levels, like if we were like striking low or striking high or something. But the idea was while we were doing our footwork, our head was supposed to be at the same level. You know, sometimes when people walk and their head kind of bobs slightly up and down, that was like a no-no. So that's one of the reasons why we kept the low stance. It was just part of we are completely in control of every part of our body while we're doing this form.
Don't wrestlers tend to get pretty low as well?
I mean, they fight on the ground, right?
No, I mean like when they're like
Within
setting up
reason.
to shooting or something, wrestlers tend to get pretty
Within
low.
reason. They're going to have bent knees, but they're not going to be doing like full squats all the time.
No, not like I don't think any. So when I'm talking about using deep stances, I'm saying like maybe like what did they call like bow stance in Tai Chi or something like that? I don't know. I'm not talking like full lunging, like straight, like you're posing like you're Spider-Man or some shit, but having your front leg out and bent a little bit more than your back leg and facing forwards, sort of more like, I guess like fencing.
I don't know. But earlier today, someone described fencing as dancing and occasionally getting stabbed, and I thought it was a really funny description.
I mean, are they particularly wrong?
I don't know enough about fencing.
I don't know anything. I did it once when I was like 8.
Yeah, I've done it even less.
I remember actually when I was doing it when I was a kid, we were on like a holiday camp thing with school, and they specifically told us like, don't swing the sword around. It's not funny. It's not clever. You're gonna hurt someone. Just stick to the strike. So like the thrust and the lunging thrust. And if someone's attacking you, you step back and swing your blade down into theirs and try and bring it to the ground. Of course, you know, children aren't gonna listen to that.
You did fencing as a kid.
It was on a school trip. We were in like a so I don't know if they
That
have these in
sounds even
America.
more pretentious.
Holiday camps, and you can do shit like zip lining and rock climbing and stuff like that, archery, fencing. Yeah.
The only fencing that anyone should ever watch is that which is included in The Princess Bride.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Fun fact, that's Lowe's favorite movie.
Yes, we know it is for whatever fucking reason. But I was not actually left-handed. Anyway, have you ever seen that, Masa?
The Princess Bride?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it a few years ago.
People credit it for having really good swordplay.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they went through a camp for weeks before they could even start filming.
Do you know what people say have really good sword work that I really can't get behind?
What?
The live action Rurouni Kenshin.
Aren't there a few movies of that, or is the second one
I
not
think
out?
there
Or
are a few. I'm not sure, but I've seen a lot of people saying like, "Oh, look, they're using traditional swords work, and they went through traditional Japanese camps, and yet they're holding katanas one-handed and like doing like jumps and stuff, and behind the head blocks with it and things like that." And like, I may not be an expert, but I'm not sure what traditional kenjutsu is being used here.
I mean, yeah, but also like the Rurouni Kenshin, some of that stuff was kind of not traditional.
Mm. I mean, don't get me wrong, it certainly looks cool, but I think one thing that's happened for me is film fights have been ruined, and if it's needlessly flashy and not practical, then I can't get behind it. And that's not just with weapons, that's with literally any fighting. Just because it's something like when you know at least a little bit how something should go and it doesn't go that way is harder to believe. And me being both a film student and a martial artist, I have it on both ends. Like I know how to choreograph it and how to film things like that well, and I know if something would actually work or not to a relative degree.
That's fair. That's why I can't watch any of the NCIS crap.
Yeah, but you know what really had really good sword work?
What?
The Witcher, Netflix's Witcher series. A lot of people criticize it because he uses ice pick grip in certain scenes, but he uses it well. He uses it to like throw his sword or get like a deeper thrust with his sword, or use it in like conjunction with another blade to defend and swing upwards.
I think I'm only a couple episodes into that series.
I mean, if you've seen the first episode, you know what I'm talking about because he does the 1 versus 16 fight or whatever it was through the village.
Oh, yeah.
And he like takes people's heads off and stuff. And they implement the magic wall as well. Like he has that scene where I think there's three guys in front of him coming for him, so he uses his like pushback to level them out, so they have to come one at a time.
I've actually not seen it yet.
Bro, you need to watch it. It's pretty hardcore. Like their swordplay is really good, and the actor Henry Cavill, who also was Superman in the DC universe, he's done videos on YouTube just talking about like Europe HEMA and European swords and stuff like that. Like he got really into the whole idea.
Nerd.
I mean, yes, how can you not be a nerd about like swords?
No, I know.
You can't not love swords. They're swords. Speaking of that, let's go on a tangent. Not that we're not already on a tangent. What's everyone's favorite sword?
I guess a Naginata doesn't really count.
Naginata, that's the sword on the end of the spear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Japanese one. I mean, it's a polearm technically. I think is what it's more considered.
Yeah, it's not really like what you think of.
Not when you think of it. I mean, you're not wrong per se. It's just
Not right.
It's literally isn't it just a okatana blade on a pole shaft?
Yeah, more or less.
essentially.
Well, I mean, if it has a sword blade, then it's a sword.
I mean, technically, but it's a polearm. You don't swing it per se. You're using it to like get length rather than duel or slash. You know.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, I guess my answer will be a Filipino kampilan.
Which one is the Cumberland?
It's the big great sword.
Right. Yeah. Any
The one you guys
particular
are thinking
reason?
of. They look awesome.
Fair.
Really. That's just a. I have I have a barong that I like using, but just for aesthetics, I like the kampilan.
I think I really like falchions. If you guys know the European ones that have the curved single edge blade. Although that
That's the one that's
card didn't
fairly
get much
similar.
for me.
That's the one that's fairly similar to a kukri, right?
Uh, I'm
Or am
not
I
sure I'd
thinking of
say
something
it's
else?
that similar to a kukri. No, I think you maybe think of something else. It's somewhat similar to a Dao. Like it's a single edge blade. It has a curve on it, but then it's got like a European hilt, like the cross guard hilt.
Yeah, that's not what I'm thinking of. What I'm thinking of is a It's a sword that is found in the UK that looks like a longer kukri.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Um,
They were found in Wales and they had origins in Rome.
Origins in Rome. The only Roman sword I can think of is the Spatfa or the Gladius. Like
I'll
those.
find the name in just a moment. I'm going through my
Okay.
notes now.
Okay. Hmm. What I want to try is those Filipino swords that have like the curved hilt and then they kind of look like they're reverse bladed. I
The
can't remember.
Gununting.
Is that the Ganun thing?
That's the one that looks like a single scissor blade.
Yeah, I want to try. I want to try those.
They're fun. I've got a wooden one that I carved.
Of
It's fun
course
to
you
play
do,
around.
because you're the expert at making things out of wood,
Yes.
bro. That wooden dummy took you like 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed
Ashamed of what?
that you managed to just make that shit. Just like, oh yeah, okay, well you got one now. I guess gotta fucking show you up.
It's
Dickhead.
his redneck superpower.
Yeah, redneck engineering.
This is fair.
To be fair, he's probably gonna shoot it and it won't work anymore. So I can take pride in that at least.
No, I have it in the dojo right now actually. One of my students got to work on it Friday.
Have you been working Kinkojuku stuff or doing your JKD training on that?
Kinkochiku, working Shuto no Nukte.
What's that
So
been
actually
like?
working
I mean, obviously you put the Makawara on there, so it's not too different from usual, but adapting to using the arms within your training, and I'm
oh it's
assuming you've had to go a bit closer range than what's normally done in karate.
no actually. That's a big misunderstanding that a lot of people have for karate. They look at karate and they think, oh, that's going to be mid-range to long-range attacks. Lots of karate actually is done in the clinch range because the origins are in Muto. So obviously, if that's what they're used to, these Okinawans are going to start punching you in that range too, right?
What I meant more is that are you using the clinch range techniques, or are you working like some of its more longer range stuff and trying to adapt that?
Well, like one of the drills we were working was all right, so Shutoke, right? Using
Yep, nice
Shutoke
block.
like as a counter to a haymaker. So I would actually get my student to do Shutoke, and as soon as he strikes the forearm, he is to roll over, get control of the arm, get the underhook, pass over the face, and set up the spearhead. It works really well, almost like a grappling dummy.
I mean,
A lot
that's
of
kind of the idea behind it. I think in a way is like it's supposed to give you that area to move and work with to drill stuff like a grappling dummy.
like I'm really happy with making it now. Of course, I've realized that I need to go ahead and add the legs and put some padding on the face because that plain pine isn't the best thing.
You made it as a meme and then you realized it was actually useful.
Yeah, I made it as a meme, but it's very useful.
I
I
actually
have my guys
saw
working palm heels off of their can't remember the block.
this was a while ago when one fight championship posted two of their fighters using it, and a lot of people were in the comments like, "Really, what use does this have? Why can't you just use a heavy bag?" And it's like, it's not for the same things as a heavy bag.
This is fair. I'm really happy with mine thus far. I'm gonna add more onto it to make it a little bit more useful. I may even put a grappling jacket on just to give it some clothing.
You're gonna turn it into a full ass dude, just like
I
yeah,
already named it.
redneck engineering for like years and years until eventually it's got like a old car engine in it, making its arms move in certain directions with like programmed with the chip out of a toaster or some shit.
I actually had to tell all the students that it has a name. For
What
example, we
did you
have a
name?
grappling dummy. We have a grappling dummy in the corner. You know, Devin.
Yeah.
We named this. We named the wooden man Woody. I thought it was clever.
Oh, of course you did.
I just need to get him a cowboy hat and put a pull string on it so he says, "There's a snake in my boot."
I'm glad you did that because I was either going to make a Toy Story joke or a dick joke. So
The sword I was thinking of, it is a kopis.
a Copas. Okay, yeah, that
That's what
makes
I was
sense. See, I really need to get bigger on the European swords because I like a lot of them and I watch a lot of the HEMA channels, Shadowversity and Scalagram. But I really do look into Asian swords more, mostly because I don't do any European arts. Although I'm looking at it, I'm looking into trying what's it called? Fucking the Viking wrestling.
Glima.
Yeah, I'm looking into trying that possibly at some
Or
point.
wait. No, Ringen. Ringen, sorry.
No, it's not Ringen is the German HEMA wrestling. You're right, it's Klima.
All right. I'm not big into Hema. I'm not even that big into swords, to be honest. I like knives up until daggers. I'm not big on just swords.
Yeah, I mean, as a general rule, it's more practical at least because you're not going to be carrying around the fucking Zweihander in the middle of the street.
Yeah, I don't live in Texas.
Or California. I learned that in California you can even more than Texas. You can have a two-handed sword as long as it's openly sheathed. Like you can't be trying to hide your sword.
I know you can
Yeah,
walk around openly with machete.
Masa,
yeah.
we're
So
gonna
it actually
we're gonna
applies
put
to
our
any sword, I think.
Masa
Okay, yeah.
post idea. We'll put our money together. We will get you a Zweihander, and you will go to Walmart with it.
I'm not gonna go to Walmart.
Well, Walmart's too
Walmart.
basic. She's too bougie for Walmart.
Yeah, I am too bougie for Walmart. Also, I don't even know where there is one near me.
Low, buddy. It cannot be a Zweihander. If we're doing this, we're going all out. We're getting the fucking Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, the closest one is 32 miles away. I'm not doing that.
Okay, but will you just walk around the streets with a giant ass blade just sheathed on your back?
As long as I can still walk, yeah.
Okay, so not the Buster Sword because that's actually
So
like
we're gonna.
taller than you.
So
Probably.
that doesn't
What
take much.
Buster Sword dimension? I think it's a 6 foot blade by 3 foot wide or something like that.
Yeah, that's taller than me. By
So
almost a
Masa,
foot.
we could get you a machete and cut the end off of that way it's not taller than you.
Yeah, I mean, we could always get her a tanto, then it might even out a little bit.
You're not wrong.
Ugh.
Get her a karambit, she can carry it as a scythe.
I already have a karambit.
Scythe. You're a fucking dick, bro. I say we just get her some safety pins and they can be like Wolverine claws.
There we go.
I don't think the scale of that matches up with anything we've been saying, but
Well, to our audience, Masa is indeed short.
Yeah, I'm 5'1". But I'm not shorter than a machete. I just looked up how tall they are.
I will purposely find a parang that has a long blade on it just to make it longer than you.
That's fine.
so I actually tested this. I had my younger cousin round, and I tested it. His height, he is the same height as my Nodachi.
Lovely.
I know.
Luca, you better get rid of them ideas right now.
What?
We don't need another Power Rangers incident.
Oh no, we're not talking about. Should we explain that to the audience? No? Okay. Never mind.
No.
I plead the fifth. You can explain it.
Okay, so for those of you out there who don't know, the Red Power Ranger from Power Rangers Wild Force sworded 2 people to death with a Conan the Barbarian sword. And he's getting out of prison soon. He also played a villain in Power Rangers Samurai, where his whole thing was that he wanted to sword people to death. Like, he just had a deep need to stab someone. So, like,
Clearly.
Power Rangers are fucking psychic and have terrible casting choices. Or the best casting choices.
To be fair,
Depends who you
being
want to.
to stab someone, that's kind of a mood.
Okay, and now Logan's going to jail. Now Lo's going to jail. What else can we fucking talk about today?
Here's another thing. We've been on the swords and stuff like that. In your areas, what is a good carry you could carry for self-defense?
Nothing.
Machete, apparently.
I am not allowed to carry anything for self-defense.
I think around where I am, as long as you're not hiding it, it's fine.
Other than nunchucks. Or flip knives, or...
I mean, the idea is that people can see the blade.
You can see nunchucks just wear them around your neck like a towel at the gym
I
or
said
some shit.
blades, nunchucks don't have blades.
Masa,
Unless you want them to.
I give you permission to... Masa, I give you permission to tape some knives to those nunchaku.
Dude, I would get cut up so fast because I'd want to play with that.
We need to get Masa the lightsaber nunchucks like she was talking about with Rob.
Masa, you need to learn a nunchaku kata.
I knew one at one point.
Actually, that's something to talk about. It's been going around a lot recently about if nunchucks are a good weapon. What do you guys think?
I think they're fun. I don't think they're practical.
Quote a very good video I watched. To make a pair of nunchaku, you have to ruin a perfectly good stick.
Yep.
Don't break a perfectly good stick.
True.
You get half the usage with more technical ability that's required, if that makes sense. I mean, if you have a stick, what can you do? You can cave their head in, because it's a stick. You have nunchaku, what can you do? You can cave your own head in, because they're nunchaku.
I will say you could also cave your own head in with a stick.
Yep, Masa's done it. If y'all want to see this, go to our TikTok combat connections.
Yep, I even slowed it down so you could see it.
So you can see the exact moment that the bow bounces off of her eyeball and left her with a black eye.
It happens.
You know what would be actually really cool?
What?
Masa, how long have you been training Thai now?
6-ish months.
Alright. 6 months in Muay Thai. Play second. You play Josie, right?
Yep.
Play as Josie and see how the combinations that she can throw will work for you as a TIE fighter.
Flying knee, flying knee, flying knee. Got it.
Get ready to fly, get ready to fly, get ready to fly.
Yeah,
To be fair, that's just how Masa plays Josie anyway.
Yeah, that was more of a joke to my button mashing.
So are we saying that Masa should try that at Muay Thai, playing with only flying knees?
Maybe.
I'd get in trouble. We can only use rounded knees when we're sparring, and I've been yelled at for using elbows.
Well, round your flying knee then.
How the hell would that work?
I don't fucking know. Fix, I don't know. Do a tornado spin, like, what's the, in Street Fighter, sure you can.
You know the,
No, wait, that's
scissor
kick.
You know that flashy kick, a scissor kick?
Yeah.
You know how the legs kind of spread?
Yeah.
Jump to the side, spread your legs and throw a knee.
Yeah, no.
Yes. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Combat Connections, the only martial arts podcast where you can hear people demanding other people spread their legs.
Hey, my last name is. Hey, my last name is not Gracie.
Oh, keeping that one in there. But your Sheehan is Fleece Johnson, so
Master Johnson, forgive me just this once.
damn. Okay.
Explain to our viewers who Fleece Johnson is.
I'm not explaining to anyone who Fleece Johnson is.
Wasn't he
Ladies
some
and gentlemen,
rapist?
if you want to know who Fleece Johnson is, you go and look up the Boondocks because that's not our thing to teach you.
So,
You know,
going back to machetes,
going back to the machete.
apparently, Cold Steel makes a tactical katana machete, a tactical wakizashi machete, and a tactical tanto machete. Oh, and just a tanto machete.
To be fair, just to be fair, it's Cold Steel. Do you know the name that Cold Steel has?
Cold Steel?
Like what they're known for? If someone can think of it, they can make it. They literally make everything.
I'm just
They made a
saying, I could walk around with a katana. Because it's
You know
a machete.
that's fair. You know what polypropylene is, right?
Yeah.
Cold Steel makes baseball bats out of it. They also make walking sticks with giant balls and a spike on the end of it.
Oh, yeah. I know that tool.
They also make polypropylene buckler shields for self-defense.
Yeah, they make a lot of stuff.
Huh.
Like we actually used to there for a while. Anytime we would need some training knives, you can order in bulk and get them fairly cheap. And we would order the Cold Steel Bowies, it's just like a little no, it's not the Cold Steel Bowie. It's a Cold Steel K-bar replica. It's just polypropylene, and we would order them by the tins, and they've actually held up really well. That's something I could do a product review.
Yeah, we should do some product reviews. We've all got a bunch of training gear that we can review.
The Cold Steel Polypropylene K-bar review after 5 years of use.
I mean, people want to know if stuff lasts long term.
Here's something. In everyday life, what do you guys have in your pocket?
My phone.
I'm a woman, so I don't have fucking pockets.
Well, then simply don't be a woman.
Thanks. You know, I just would rather have pockets.
Okay, anyway, yeah, no, I normally just have my phone in my pocket. Like, I don't... My phone and my headphones.
You don't carry a wallet?
Nope, because I use Google Pay, so I don't need to carry my card.
Oh, yeah, you live in civilization.
That's fair.
Yeah, I usually have
No,
my
actually-
phone on me, and my phone case is a wallet, so... Yeah.
Wow. Well, so the pants I wear I call them carpenter pants. They have a loop on the side, and they have really deep pockets. It's so I can hold everything I need, and they have pockets going down the side of the legs. And they're blue jeans, so they're really durable. I carry my wallet, my phone, a pocket knife, a box cutter, a fixed blade, my earbuds,
Okay, now you're
and
just showing off.
sometimes a flashlight. Only if I'm going to London.
See, no, I can't carry any of that. Like,
You can carry a flashlight. I've proven it.
you got questioned about the flashlight. I can technically have a flashlight on me. Even if I have it on me, I can't defend myself. I can technically have a Kubaton on me if it's chained to a key. I can't use it to defend myself, and I have to have a valid reason other than it's to defend myself, because it's totally
Carry a
illegal to
flashlight.
use it.
I will send you a link to a flashlight on Amazon. Carry a flashlight. Tell people that you are scared of the dark if they ask you about it. The flashlight that I carried had enough lumens that I could turn it on. If you press the button 3 times very quickly, it flashes extremely bright, and it's enough to blind someone. I
I
know
think
because I
we have a
tested it.
lumen limit as well. That stuff, like the tactical ones that do like enough lumen to distort vision, they're illegal.
Are you goddamn kidding me?
Yeah,
You gotta
anything that's
be
made to
careful.
be like tactical, survival, or
This,
self-defense
no, no, no.
idea, then
This is
it's
But
legal.
light? Like, I get, like,
This is not.
limiting on, like, guns and knives and swords and that shit, but fucking light?
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
we
like
might have to cut that.
We
my
we don't have
flashlight.
much sword limiting actually. We're just not allowed stuff that's hidden, like cane swords, and we're not allowed to take it outside
See, my flashlight is not tactical
unless we're
though.
doing kendo or hema.
My flashlight's not tactical though, so you could carry one.
I think those things where like you can do the free tap to make it do an extra bright setting is considered to be like survival or tactical design.
They didn't. They didn't have any issue with me. Maybe it's because I'm American and you're just
Maybe they
hateable.
just didn't fucking test your light.
Well, I mean, they're not gonna know that you can press the 3 buttons on it. And like, they looked at my flashlight. They pressed the button. All it did was turn on. She pressed it again. And it turned off. So it did what it's supposed to do. It's a flashlight.
But no,
really,
we're not allowed tactical pens, tactical flashlights, Kubatons unless they're a keychain and we don't use them. No tasers, pepper spray, mace, anything in that such area. No stick like no extendable baton or expendable bow if you're one of those weirdos that wants to do that. And no knives, no nothing.
So what you're saying is, if my room was in London, I'd be serving life in prison.
As long as it doesn't leave your room and you don't have the guns on you, you're fine.
So, yes.
Uh-huh.
You're not
So-
allowed anything for the purpose of self-defense. So even if it's not something that's necessarily illegal, say you have like a reinforced umbrella which could be used as a bat. I think they sell those. I think that's a real thing. It's still for the purpose of self-defense because it's reinforced and therefore you're not allowed to have it.
So like my main thing is if you carry that flashlight, which Masa, we need to buy Luca a flashlight for Christmas. That's what we need to get him.
Okay.
If you carry the flashlight, how are they going to be able to charge you? Someone tries to mug you and you shine a light in their eyes and you run away. How are they
You
gonna
can
be able to
shine a
charge
light
you?
in their eyes. I can't hit them with the light.
All right. Get the flashlight,
And
shine a
even
light.
in that, even in that case, if someone takes this podcast and presents it as evidence when I got into the fight, even if I hit them with my hands and I use the flashlight to disorient them, they can use this podcast evidence to say this tool was carried for the purposes of aiding in attacking someone, and therefore its use of a weapon.
Your country is retarded.
You're not allowed to use that word.
Your country is severely disabled.
That's not better.
Your country is un-American.
No, here.
That's
Your country embodies this phrase. Deep diddy. So I'm guessing that's all we're going to talk about then.
I feel like there's not much else we can say.
You have that song.
Hmm?
You have that song. You could say that.
I don't know what you're referencing.
Tie it in a knot.
Oh, right, yeah. Rat shit, bat shit, dirty old twat. 69 assholes tied in a lot. Hooray, lizard shit, fuck.
What the actual...
George Carlin.
That doesn't... Who is that?
He's a famous comedian.
Okay.
Dead famous comedian. He said it's the best chant ever. Rat shit, bat shit, dirty old twat. 69 assholes tied in a knot. Hooray, lizard shit, fuck.
Okay, then.
And this is
And then
what's
there's a
wrong.
bunch of remixes of it to different songs.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to end the podcast?
I feel like we get. I'm gonna link the remixes in the description of the podcast. We can't play it because it will get claimed, but
I didn't know we were gonna include the chant in the podcast.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no
didn't
way.
think we were going to either.
Thank you, everybody, for watching this somewhat random and chaotic episode of Combat Connections when we were trying out this new format. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Check out our other podcasting platforms, our other YouTube videos, other episodes of the podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Combat Connection Co. and on TikTok at Combat Connection. Also, go like our Facebook page and share in your thoughts and ideas in our Facebook community page. Till next time, guys. Peace.